why do you stay with this emotion? There's an empathy and there's a knowing of things that are happening, but you are you, and you can give so much to who you are, no? This beautiful soul that if you are in sadness, you are not giving what you are in your environment, with the people that surround you, and with the energy that you have from the heart that can create so many beautiful things. And if we concentrate on that, on creating so many beautiful things through who we are, we change the world, not playing the game.
Yeah. This conversation has come at a good time because this morning I was actually saying to myself, I had my meditation, I had my prayers, and I was saying to myself, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be in this place because the place of hopelessness,
Mm.
because it's not good for my mental health.
Mhm.
It's not good for my state. And it really is too depressing. It's
Yes,
just too
perfect.
depressing. And to be seeing the numbness. I mean, when I was growing up, that I'm actually talking about growing up. Growing up was not good for me either because I
Mm.
grew up in Northern Ireland in Belfast,
Mm.
and there were lots of guns and killing. So,
Yeah.
so actually, I grew up in a war zone.
Wow.
Yeah, I grew up from a child from 4 till 10. It was a war
Wow.
zone. I
Wow.
went to Nigeria and it was military.
It's lovely to see you.
Yes, yes, yes. I,
Uh,
I always love the sign behind you.
this the love.
Yes, it makes
Yes.
me so happy.
Thank you. Yes. We are love. It's for no?
Yeah,
The end.
absolutely. The world needs so much love.
And from the heart.
Yes, 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 yes. It needs so much love, and loving is not easy, is it?
No,
It's
no.
one of the hardest things is love.
Unconditional love, no?
Oh, almost impossible. Almost impossible, almost impossible. Thank you so much for checking in with me. I really appreciate it.
No, you told me you were going for a trip and you wanted, you didn't know how it was going to go, how it was going to be. And yes, surely I was going to
Yeah.
check in to see how you were doing.
Yeah. One of the things I can say, and thank you so much, is that a lot of relationships are built on trust, and actually trusting is essential to anything, business arrangements, our home lives, our relationship with our partners, our children, our friends. And yet trust is very hard to build and very easy to lose.
Mm.
And let little things like making a promise and saying I'll do that can build so much trust. But a lot of people just like, I'm going to do it. And I mean, we all forget, we
Yeah,
all
we
forget,
can.
we get too busy, whatever. However, there is something that through the years I've seen less of, that people keep their promises.
Mhm.
Or at least if they
Mhm.
know they can't keep the promise, they kind of like say, actually, I promised it then and my circumstances have changed, so I can't do it anymore. And that piece about keeping promises is not as much. Not as much, it's just like, whatever, and you said, oh, I'll do this on the day. And with the day after I got your message on LinkedIn, the day after, and I was like, oh, this is wonderful. And we say, okay, let's set it up. I'm here now. It actually gives me a lot of more hope that the world is not as broken as it sometimes seems to me. I just think our world is so broken.
Yeah, you feel it. You feel. I know it's broken from one side, but from the other side, I'm meeting so many beautiful beings that like you, that I don't feel it so broken.
You don't feel so. So tell me because at the moment where I am is like today I had to speak to myself and say,
Hmm.
don't be so despondent about the world. Because I just felt like crying.
Mm.
I felt like crying. I felt the bombing, the homeless
Yeah.
people, people in camps, people's homes being, the trucks coming in, all that. And I had to actually t tell myself, you're just going to make yourself sick.
Yeah.
This is not, you're going to make yourself ill. And already I've kind of like reduced on watching TV. Like I haven't
Mm-hmm.
put on the TV today at all
Mm-hmm.
because when I put it on, it's
Mm-hmm.
bad news. So what's the
Yes.
need of traumatizing myself?
Yes. Yes. No, it's
You
true.
know?
It's true.
So actually that's where a lot of it is not my pain. It's just the work. It's like, what can one do if the leaders of the countries are doing this and you go to the polls, you vote, but the people you vote for don't get, it's majority and they don't get in. There's nothing you can do about that. You can go, you can march, you can protest and banner, um, and you can do that. But even then, people who have protested have got arrested and thrown into prison. In it. So you think, do I want to be thrown into prison because I protested? No, I don't, but I want things to change. So I
Mm-hmm.
know that this might sound, but it actually goes ahead all around my brain. And I'm
Mm.
saying, think about things you can control,
Yeah.
not things you can't. You
No.
cannot control a lot of those things. Those
Yeah.
those babies dying, those
Mm-hmm.
mothers being raped, and I'm not just talking about wars. I'm
No,
talking about
no.
things like the surgeon in France who is trusted with children and rapes them under anesthetic, and they come out and
Mm-hmm.
they're having all these problems. They don't know that the surgeon who they trusted, the
Yes.
parents trusted, have raped their children. Those are the sorts of things. Or the wife who has this happy marriage. And the guy is inviting men in. Come on, sleep with my wife. Come on. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, we're at it, let's video it. And I know that it's that I'm thinking, who does that?
Yeah.
Who does that? You know?
There are many sick people. Yes, there are many sick people. But for instance, I don't watch TV already
Mm.
5 years.
Wow.
Okay, because
Wow.
I've been feeling um, manipulated a lot, and I felt it the first time when I was in New York with September 11. I was there, and in December, I remember in December of 2001, I remember having been manipulated by TV, feeling angst and certain things that I didn't see it around, but in the TV it was told about that. So I said, I will never again let myself be manipulated by the news or by anyone, no, because then I saw other things, no, but so so I never trusted. You were speaking about trust. So I never trust the news, and plus because they are always negative, and they show negative things for you to feel sad and for your energy to be low
Yeah.
and not to be who you are
Yeah.
in the heart and brighten the world with your positivity. No, so I always felt that, and then 5 years ago I decided not to watch anymore.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I don't know about the news. It's just that I select where to read, and I'm more objective. I select and then I discern by myself. So yes, I've heard about those stories, um, but I haven't gone into them, and because I believe I know there's a lot of sick people and everything, but they're also very nice people, and we don't hear about them.
Yeah.
And I think we have to concentrate on the good people and the beautiful people and the amazing people, and fight that world, let's say, and embrace everyone and through the love, and and not play the game. I don't play the game. I'm seeing everything as a unfolding around, but I don't put my energy in it, because if I go and do manifestation, I'm putting the energy in it and I'm making it burn even more. No, but if I am an outsider and I do what I feel It's positive for my surrounding. I'm giving through what I am, and I'm giving to the world through that. And I'm stronger. Light is stronger than darkness, you know? So I don't play the game. I
Yeah.
decided a long time, and I discern. I don't believe everything that is being said. And when you put yourself apart, you see many things that you are not able to see when you are in it, in this energy, in this focus that they have manipulated you to look into it. When you are listening and seeing, you are seeing this, but you also see this,
Yeah.
and you see this.
Yeah.
So you see much, much more than it was
Yeah.
what is told.
Yeah.
So you're able to discern, you're able to be in peace, and you are able to live um, with another type of energy, no, and vibration that I think it's important in this world. So yes, I don't vote,
Yeah.
for instance,
Yeah.
because I don't believe in governance and politics. If I want to change something, I change it by myself, and I change it in my surrounding. I don't. I've learned not to. If I'm asked to give an opinion, I give it, but I respect everyone's opinion, and I respect everyone's point of view, because everyone is in their own shoes, no? So it's really um, observing and giving and receiving. So and not taking in those things. It's a, when the food is not good for you, the same thing,
Yeah.
because it nurtures you negatively, like certain movies. I don't watch movies either.
Mm.
I just select documentaries or certain movies, but I don't watch movies anymore, because they they manipulate emotionally, no? And depending on the movie, you have to see it like also a theater in this case, and really from outside, not go inside, because you later on you stay with, like you were saying today, you saw some news and you stay with this emotion. And why do you stay with this emotion? There's an empathy, and there's a knowing of things that are happening, but you are you, and you can give so much to who you are, no, this beautiful soul, that if you are in sadness, you are not giving what you are in your environment, with the people that surround you, and with the energy that you have from the heart, that can create so many beautiful things. And if we concentrate on that, on creating so many beautiful things through who we are, we change the world,
Yeah.
not playing the game.
Yeah. This conversation has come at a good time because this morning I was actually saying to myself, I had my meditation, I had my prayers, and I was saying to myself, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be in this place because the place of hopelessness,
Mm.
because it's not good for my mental health.
Mhm.
It's not good for my state. And it really is too depressing. It's
Yes,
just too
perfect.
depressing. And to be seeing the numbness. I mean, when I was growing up, that I'm actually talking about growing up. Growing up was not good for me either because I
Mm.
grew up in Northern Ireland in Belfast,
Mm.
and there were lots of guns and killing. So,
Yeah.
so actually, I grew up in a war zone.
Wow.
Yeah, I grew up from a child from 4 till 10. It was a war
Wow.
zone. I
Wow.
went to Nigeria and it was military, so again another war
Another
zone.
one.
So I went
Wow.
from one war zone to another war zone, and guns and killing and all those sorts. So actually, now that I'm talking to you, it's been my life.
Mm-hmm.
To be around wars and guns. So in a way, I think the traumatization because that's what I grew up with.
Yes, certainly. Yeah.
That's what I grew up with,
And
and
that's why it impacts so strongly. It impacts to everyone, but
yeah,
I understand in your case also you
yeah,
have it already within,
yeah,
that
yeah,
listening to certain things, it
yeah.
triggers
It tri- just it just
triggers
tri it
you.
tri triggers it off. So where are you based now?
I'm
Where
in
are you?
Spain, in Barcelona,
Oh,
next to
that's
Barcelona.
nice. That's nice
Yes.
because I've been to Barcelona before
Mm,
and really, really loved it. This was a few years, well, some years ago now, that I actually visited a lot of art galleries and things,
yes.
and I loved it. Loved.
Yes.
I always wanted to go to Barcelona because I'd been to Madrid before that,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd always wanted to go to Barcelona, and then I got the opportunity of going, and I loved it. Totally,
Happy to hear
totally
that.
loved. Oh yeah,
Mm.
loved it. And I know this is all, but I love Spanish wine, and I
Yeah,
love
me too.
yeah, and I love the tapas.
Yes,
You know, the
it's
tapas and the wine.
yes, it's
I
very
love
good.
these things,
It's a
and
good
you know,
living.
it was. I'm thinking of those. Let's see, I'm thinking of. Oh, I was thinking of those 'cause where I was Amnesty International.
I lost you. It cut
With
off. You were with
Amnesty
Amnesty
International.
International. Oh.
Yeah, I went to do so because they were meeting just outside Barcelona on the
Mm.
outskirts. They were meeting for a conference,
Yes.
and then I I went there and I just loved it because the green where there were lots of
Mm.
farms and
Mm-hmm.
green, and then when I came into Barcelona on the train because I didn't really know the area. Obviously, I didn't know any of the area, so I went on the train, but people were so friendly. And I could like hola, just a
Mm-hmm.
few words, just a few,
Yeah.
but it was enough to get me through for people to help me. So I got into Barcelona and back safely, very, very safely, and visited some of the places, and it was just lovely. It was just a lovely stay. It was such a positive experience, very,
Oh,
very
nice.
positive experience.
Very,
Yeah,
very happy to hear that. Yes. Yes. And you are now where, Tessie? Oh.
I'm in London.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in London. I'm in London, Wembley. I don't know if you've heard of
Yeah.
Wembley.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I live near Wembley. I live
Mm.
in Wembley, but I live near the stadium where, in fact,
Uh-huh.
yesterday
Yes.
our Lionesses played Spain.
Ah.
So
Yes. In the
there's
tennis.
and I actually because there was some tickets going from somebody in our church or
Uh-huh.
through somebody in our church. And she only said it yesterday evening and just with the 2 hours to spare. And I had already had my program, so I didn't go, but some other people went. And I was just thinking, and this is really important for this conversation we're having. If it had been like, say, 6 years ago or 7 years ago, I would have reorganized my diary and gone for that match.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yes, I have
Can you
you.
hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would I
I'm
would have I would
listening.
I would have reorganized my
Yes.
pre-COVID. I would have reorganized all my diary and taken the ticket and gone for the match because the tickets were there 2 hours before. But I'm aiming to live with intention.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And living with intention meant that there were some people who we had fixed the meeting, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought, look, that meeting has been the diary. I'm going to honor that.
Mm. Yeah.
And then there's another person who had said, "Oh, can you support me in a meeting I am having?"
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to honor that. So
Yeah.
those two meetings back to back, I thought I can't go for the match.
No. Yeah.
I cannot
Yeah.
because going for the match, yes, it's an interesting thing, but I'm letting some people down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
no,
then
and they're
I also
trusting you.
and they're trusting me. I said I'm letting them down. But the other thing I thought was that the woman who was able to get the ticket to get tickets for another match. So it
Mm-hmm.
might not be
Ah.
next month, it might not be 2 or 3 months' time, but whenever it is, when she puts out the tickets, hopefully I can go.
Yes, yes. No, and it's everything has its time.
Yes, yeah,
Everything has its
yeah.
time.
And that's intentional living. That's
Mm-hmm.
living in with intention that and in a way I just thought to myself at the end of the day, the night, because it went on, I had another recording last night
Mm-hmm.
and into the hours of this morning we are this morning. And I said, what is different? And I thought, I'm proud of myself to stay focused. because I can be quite focused, but I can also get distracted easily by a match
Mm-hmm.
between Spain and
Yeah,
England.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And then it's a shiny thing, shiny coin. So I get
Mm-hmm.
distracted by the shiny coin. And I've done that so much in my life, like, yay, shiny, let me go and follow the shine.
Yes, I
You
think we
know.
all have done that.
Yeah.
We all have done that. And it's nice what you're saying, no? Okay, there's a shiny thing. A shiny thing can come around again any other time. But let's let it pass by because there's something more deeply to do than the shiny superficial thing, no?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's really, really important, I think, that I mean, I'm so glad that I met you at the
Mhm.
gratitude thing. That's what we met, isn't it?
Yes, yes, with
Yeah,
yeah.
the gratitude thing. And actually that I only got the invitation to that the day before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I
Wow.
think paid attention to it the day before. And I'm glad I came because by coming I met you.
Yes, the same, man.
So I
Thank you
think
so
that
much.
there are times when she said, because everything's short notice,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think in many ways there are times when that short notice is helpful, like going to the gratitude session, and when it's unhelpful, like prioritizing that over my commitments to people who I promise that I'm going to meet them where they are, who
Mm-hmm.
want to meet with me. So it's kind of two different kinds of asks.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. This the gratitude is, yes, it was also very nice to meet you for sure, and meet who we met. That at the end we stayed there, no, and we were just a few, so it was a beautiful, 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 very, very expansive session. And yeah, and the shiny things are the shiny things. They're shiny, but at the end, inside there, I know you might enjoy them, but at the end, it's just a game. And the game is one day, and another day can also be a game. You just watch. There's nothing different one game from the other. Yes, one wins and the other, yeah, okay. But in those sessions, or in what you were saying, that you had the intention to support those you had said yes, you are giving part of who you are, and they are receiving it. And as they are receiving, you are receiving also, because they are in gratitude to you for having shown up, no? And so it's such a beautiful, you stay with something, it nurtures you, no? It nurtures who you are. Because we go back to what we said at the beginning, relationships are important. We have relationship with everything and everyone. And the relationships, if we are in relationship with the heart, then we are growing, and we are also um, growing others, no, through who we are and what we are learning.
I love what you're saying.
Thank you.
I've now come to the conclusion that more of these kind of conversations, because yesterday night and into this morning, I thought I actually journaled this morning and said a perfect day because there was just so many things. And back to what you're saying about the energy, was so beautiful. And it just it just felt so right.
Mhm.
It felt so right to be in the meetings. It felt so right to have the conversations. It felt so right to share. And as I'm speaking to you, I'm thinking that all the people who I had these meetings with yesterday, all of them were all women,
Mhm. Mhm.
all women, women from America, um, a number of women who were in America, but from other parts of the world as well. But those people and if a couple of men, they were all people of color in
Mhm.
in one of them. Then another woman who lives in England, and she runs a disability organization.
Mm.
And we had it was a sad and hopeful meeting because
Mhm.
she's the chief executive, and she's been the chief executive now for over 10, 11, 12 years.
Okay.
And it's what we call a local charity, a local NGO, which means that it actually is in a particular area of Greater London. And this organization is of disabled people for disabled people.
Oh, okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
she has a disability as well. But the people, most of her staff have different kinds of disability, and they serve people with disability. So it's an
Mm-hmm.
organization of disabled people for disabled people. And just talking to her and seeing her, she's 150% committed, 150% committed to her cause, to her staff, to the people who use the service. But seeing how in our country, England, and I'm sure it happens all over the world, when you have disability of some sort, people can sometimes take advantage of you.
Mm-hmm.
And talking with her, she was telling me stories of a client who they'd taken advantage of, the telephone people had taken advantage of this client because the client can't understand, because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the things here is about independent living. So people with disabilities are encouraged to live on their own and so on. Some of them don't live with people around them, they live by
Mm-hmm.
themselves, etc. But some of the corporations take advantage of them.
Mm-hmm.
So things like telephones, they missell the telephones. So she was telling me about somebody who had two telephone contracts with the
Oh.
same provider
Oh.
running at the same
Oh.
time. And this person can't afford even one, really.
No,
Not
yeah.
to talk of two that they don't need, but
No,
because they
no.
didn't have the capacity to understand what was
Yes.
happening, they trust the company
Yes,
selling it.
yes.
They bought two telephones. They got have two telephone services.
Wow.
So for me, I'm listening to the woman and I'm saying to myself, this is what you should be doing. You be advocating for these people. To kind of like because these companies are just abusing their customers, particularly when their customers are vulnerable, when they're
Yes.
elderly, when they have disability, and so on. So I said, have to check this thing out. I need to be with these people, you know, because I hate people being taken advantage of.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. On the other end is someone that is only looking at numbers. It's
Yes,
such a pity. Or, well, looking at numbers because they have pressures to look at numbers, and then they forget, they just see that everyone are numbers, no? And they forget that we are people and we are all in the
absolutely.
same. Yes.
Absolutely. In fact, this woman said to me, because we were talking, and I was glad I had this conversation with her because what she was saying was that the people, because I was telling her of an experience I had last week Thursday, so exactly a week today, when I went into an EE shop and they were they missold a contract to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I kept asking them questions because I'm kind of look the way I am, and why not?
Mm-hmm.
And then they profiled me so wrongly. Because in my kind of profile, she doesn't know what's going on. The black lady woman, she doesn't know. She's a certain age. She wouldn't know what's going on. So they misprofiled me. Meanwhile, I'm a lawyer, kind of like that used to teach contract law
Uh-huh.
and whatever. And I had my master's in commercial law, and I actually one of my main clients is a law firm in the city of London here. And but they
Ay,
don't
ay,
know
ay.
because they're
No,
looking at
no,
me
they're
and
just
whatever.
judging.
They profile me.
Incredible.
So I'm outraged, and I'm saying, but at the same time I'm afraid and outraged at the same time because I don't really know about mobile phones and kind of the beats and the this and the signals. That's not my forte. So when
Mm-hmm.
they said to me, "Oh, you're paying this amount of money," I say, "Am I? I don't think so." But I don't have the paperwork. So anyway, they say, oh, we're going to sell you a telephone. We're going to give you a contract for £22 a month. And if you have this contract for £22 a month, then this will, so it's better than £30. I said, I've been paying £30 and I didn't know that. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. In fact, if anything, it goes up to £40. I do. So, but I was confused because I'm not aware of this. And I was like, oh, I'm so angry. How did I get to pay? I don't even use that. So anyway, cut a long story short, I said, I'm sure that the contract I signed last year, a few months ago now, about 7 months ago, 8 months, was less than £16 a month. I'm sure it was. And they said, I said, I got it in this store. And I said, I described the person. And to cut a long story short, I said, I'm going to make a complaint.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm making a complaint.
Well done.
And
Uh-huh.
and the person says to me, you have to talk to the supervisor. I said, who do I talk to? Talk to supervisor. So I said, okay. And I waited and waited and waited and waited and waited because sometimes they want to keep you waiting till you
Yeah,
give up.
yeah,
I waited and
yeah.
waited and waited. Eventually, the woman came and I said, what's happening here? This is what I've been told. And it cut a long story short again. She did something and she got another guy involved. Basically, they were cleaning up their systems.
Mm-hmm.
They clean up the systems. But as they're cleaning up the system, my phone is getting all these messages on my chat. I'm getting them because everything's connected. So I said, "Oh, I want to make a complaint. What about the money I've been paying? Because if you're telling me that I've been paying money, and I know that I want my money back." So the guy said, I won't." She said, "I won't. I don't. I'm not confident you get your money back." I said, "Of course I'll get my money back. I have the contract."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "What do I do? Phone customer services?" I said, "I will." Anyway, I phoned customer services the next day, and then I got in touch with customer services 2 days ago. Guess what? What they were telling me was not true.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
why am I saying that to you? Because when they began to see that I was one of the customers that was questioning them, they didn't know how to put it right, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They didn't know how to put it right. At that point in time, if they were honorable, they could have put it right. They could have said, "Oh,
Yes.
we've given you the wrong
Yes,
information.
I'm sorry. So
Let's
and
course
so.
correct. We're sorry." But they didn't. And then the other thing they were doing was that they would just put a tablet and they say, "Sign this," and you wouldn't see the
Mm-hmm.
contract. I said, "But you're giving me this. I need to see the contract. I'm a lawyer for crying out loud. You have to see the con. What am I signing? I could be signing away my life. I could be signing away my car. I could be signing away my pair of shoes, my new ones, not the old ones. I was signing anything." And they kept doing that, like bringing the tablet, and I'm like, nah. I want to see what I'm signing. I want to see what I'm signing. So they didn't know how to they didn't know how to course correct. But the reason why I'm telling you that story is the woman who I was telling the story, she said, Tesse, let me be generous. I said, okay, be generous. And she said, these people probably on very low salaries.
Mm-hmm.
They're on commission.
Mm-hmm.
Back to what you're saying.
Big the
The,
numbers.
the,
Yeah.
the on commission, and the more that they can sell based on commission, the more they're going to take home. So
Mm-hmm.
they're not thinking
Mm-mm.
about the old woman coming in. They're not thinking about the person with disability that can't afford it. All they're thinking, back to what you're saying, all they're thinking about is their commission and their salary. And then she went on, and this part I know to be true, is that these people are young, which they were, and a lot of them don't have training. So they will come in on very low salaries and then no training, and then they're incentivized to sell these contracts. Of course, there's going to be malpractice, sharp practice, or whatever. And I said, you're being very generous. However, I really don't feel that's the world I want to be in and live in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to be an advocate.
Mm-hmm.
I want to advocate for myself, which is what I did.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you did.
It
Yes.
took me time,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of time, but I did advocate for myself. And the second thing was what's occurring to me is how can I advocate for others?
Yeah.
Because actually, that man with the two contracts that he can't afford that.
Mm-mm.
And if, for instance, it gets to a stage where he's not able to pay his bill, yeah, that his credit rating is
Yeah.
affected. So you
Yeah.
can see we start
Yeah.
spiraling
Yeah. Yeah.
down.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I thought, oh, how can I get involved in advocating for those people? you know. And then finally, and I'll end this final point, was that when I started going on to customer service EE, I couldn't get a human being to speak to.
That's incredible. Yeah,
It
that's
it was
so
all it was
annoying.
all chat.
Yeah.
And I think really it's either that it was artificial intelligence or artificial intelligence supported by a human being. Whatever it was, I could not get someone to talk to. And I think that that kind of said something to me about us losing connection with ourselves and losing connection with people, because actually dealing with the whatever the chatbot or whatever it was,
Mm,
it wasn't optimal for me anyway.
no.
It wasn't optimal for my experience. I eventually got what I needed because I've kind of done this quite a number of times now. So you get used to how do you position your chat with the bot. You just kind of get used to it, chat GPT or whatever it is. Yeah, you get used to it. But is that the world that I want to live in?
No, not me. And those things, I always say when it's in on the phone, I say operator. I didn't understand now. Operator. I want to talk to the operator. I want
Mm,
to until if it works. Sometimes they hang up, no, because it's an infinite loop. But many times they say, okay, we will connect you to the operator because we don't understand what you're saying. No. Because it's so bad. Yes, I don't like it, and that's not the world I want. No.
yeah. So we agreed here. I love the fact
Mm,
when you say co-creating,
hmm.
actually how we build relationships, how we manifest trust,
Yes.
how we stay with our intentions,
Hmm.
how we actually have our architecture around that, how we can be self-compassionate, compassionate to others, how our stimuli, and that's the piece I'm taking away from myself from this Viktor Frankl's work of stimuli and response.
Hmm.
How can we, how my I actually am looking at my stimuli, because I'm saying, look, I'm feeling anxious, I'm saying that I'm feeling um sometimes feeling depressed,
Yeah.
and yet I'm taking in things that are depressing me and making me even more anxious. So my
Yes.
stimuli is not the right kind of
No.
stimuli. So
No.
I need to actually, already I started working on myself. So I've cut down on my news. I used to have news on a loop. I've cut
Mm.
it down.
Yeah.
So I need, but also, as you said, to in constructing my input, to actually be selective about what I'm looking at, what I'm reading, and and to look at more positive content and more
Mm.
positive input. So,
Yes.
for me, and I love what you said about good news, because my older brother, I think I shared it on the day or in a group on the day, but my older brother was killed
Mm. Mm.
in Dover, which is on the shores of England, and he was killed by a hit and run driver
Mm.
who was high on marijuana
Mm.
and was driving dangerously.
Mm. So
And
sorry.
it was a horrible, thank you. It was such a horrible experience. Still is the aftermath of it is still with us as a family. And he was such a lovely man.
Mm.
He served as a volunteer policeman. He had been a civil servant, helping people with their claims, with their benefits, all the
Hmm.
things I'm saying. And I used to work in the benefit office as well. So I know that it's a very hard job. He had actually risked his life for someone
Wow.
in the job center in
Wow.
London. He did all these things, and when he was killed, it was during COVID, and I was trying to get the newspapers to carry the story of what had happened, and none of them would carry it. Why I say none of them would carry is that I phoned, I left them, and I spoke to someone and say, speak to this person. I emailed the person, never got back to me. The Guardian newspaper, which used to be mine, since then I've not bought the Guardian ever.
Mm-mm.
The
Mm-mm.
Guardian newspaper, they never got back to me. I sent whatever. I actually called someone who I thought was a friend. Her
Mm.
husband used to be a senior person in the Guardian. They live in San Francisco now. I called her, had a conversation. She said she'll talk to her husband. She'll get back. I'm not saying that she should do it. I said, just give me a name of someone who
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
talk to. Till today, we've not spoken. She didn't get back to me. She didn't call. She never contacted me again. I'm in the too difficult box, right? And I just saw that the press weren't interested in this guy. And the only time I was able to talk to someone in the press about my brother was when the trial had taken place and they had the local newspaper and they wanted to have a negative story about the
Mm.
sentencing of, because the woman got 4 years imprisonment, two of those years suspended. So basically, she was going to be in prison for only 2 years. So there's a call that they put in the court that do we want to, as a family, do we want to talk about the sentencing? So they
Mm.
wanted a negative story about the
Mm.
sentencing. And I, at that time, was in kind of warrior mode, kind of like battle. I was battle. And I said, I will speak to the journalist. And they said, we don't know the journalist. I said, leave it with me. Take me to the journalist. And so I went to the journalist. Now, I have to say, at this point in time, I'm suited and booted, right?
Mm.
My whole suit, whatever, suited and booted. Because every time I went to court, I was always suited and booted. And I spoke to, I kind of like built up like a relationship with the journalist. And I said, look, you've asked about the sentencing, but could I tell you about my brother?
Mm.
So they weren't
No,
actually asking about my brother.
no, no, no.
They were asking about the sentencing. And but I asked him about him, the journalist, how about what's happening, so and so and so and so and so, and got him. So in a way, I distracted him from his intention of getting a negative story. And then we started to talk. And then he said, oh, I really like your brother. I like the sound of the brother.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one had asked me about my brother who was killed. And he said, and I said, look, and he said, this has to go at this time. I said, oh, on my phone, I have a picture of my brother. I can send you the picture now, 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 now. I can send you the picture. So anyway, and I have to say this thing that I actually have had media training.
Mm.
So I kind of like working with journalists. I've been trained,
Mm.
kind of like
Yeah.
training to work with journalists. I said, I can tell you now, 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 no need them. And then I started talking, and then he told me that his brother had been killed in a
Ah,
car crash.
ah,
How was
wow.
I to know that?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
said,
yeah, yeah.
my brother had been killed. I said, what's it? And we started talking about that. So what I'm saying to you is that that was the one and only time in the press, was the one and only time that someone asked about my brother, who was doing something good. He was collecting COVID samples during COVID and delivering COVID kits. So he was getting the kit, delivering it to care homes. Then he would take the sample and take it back to the hospital for analysis. That's what he was doing when this woman killed him. He was pedestrian.
No,
But they
no.
didn't want that story. Now, if he had been carrying a samurai sword on the other hand and killed 25 people,
Would be another story. Yeah. Yeah. But that's why it's news you have to select and discern and know when to nurture your mind, soul, and body with information and from where. And also, like you were saying before, selecting the people you are in relationship.
oh, I can say, Jody, that since in my life, when Tony was killed, that was the loneliest time of my life. It was
Mm.
bereavement. It was bereavement. It was grief. It
Yeah,
was all
yeah.
those sorts of things. It was pain. It was systems failures. But it's also lonely because people who I thought would show up,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't. Like this woman who I thought I'd known for over 20 years. I was coming with a problem and she didn't just want to help. But at the other side, as I'm speaking to you now, I am thinking of people who showed up that I
Mm-hmm.
never thought that they would show up.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually didn't ask them. These were people who they contacted me
Mm-hmm.
and they said, what can we do for you? How can we
Yeah.
support you? And they were not even on my radar.
Yeah, 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 because we many times don't have them. But that's the beauty, because then you're focusing somewhere else and the perception changes of everything around you.
Yeah,
Mhm. It's
yeah.
where we put the focus, and that's why it's important not to put the focus in the negative, but in the positive.
God.
Knowing and many times also dealing with our traumas and everything, going through it to then let it go. But but always focusing in the positive, because there's so many beautiful things in the world. I know there's a lot of sickness, there's a lot of darkness and everything, but let's concentrate on the focus on the relationships that are good for us, on giving and receiving through the heart, through who we are and what we love, and don't fall into what is being told to us to bring us down. There's so many things to be grateful for.
I'm loving this conversation, and I'm curious about you. What can you share with me about you? Tell me.
Well, I'm, well, you see, I'm an earthling. I'm from the world. And I've learned through the years, to really show up as who I am, and to really connect with the heart, and, to talk from there, to give from there, and to grow from there anywhere, anytime. At the end, it's such a beautiful experience to live in the now and the today, not to worry, not to expect. Certainly, there's still happening, but it's really observing and being committed to to change the world from the inside out.
I love it. I love what you're saying. What was your journey to getting to this place of clarity for you?
Oh, a long journey, many years. Yes, I was always a giver, and I was very shy, and I was a good girl, and I lost myself in others for them to be okay. No, so, well, to make it short, one day I woke up and I said, I want to love myself.
Mm.
So I changed my life. I came to Barcelona and started the journey of knowing who I am. First, being afraid to show up as who I am, because I was talking about daring to be, but then learning that when you're in your heart, it doesn't matter what you're saying, because and how you're saying it, because at the end you're positively impacting. You're not hurting anyone because you're not hurting yourself. No, so you're loving, valuing, and respecting yourself, and you will do that automatically with everyone else. So anything that comes from your mouth, it's a translation from your heart in the moment. So yes, I've learned not to worry, to look to the future, because I don't know the future. To be in fear, why? It's the mind, no? Certainly, many times I'm in fear, but when I am, or when there's some worriness, I say, why do I have to be worried if I don't even know what's going to happen? I don't control that. And what I'm thinking comes from my past, and it will never be what it is. So, and expectations, well, it's what I'm thinking, and it doesn't mean it's going to happen. So I learned to co-create, which for me, it came through exploration, experiencing and practicing to be in the heart and co-creating with people. And I've been always so beautifully surprised what co-creation can do, the power of co-creation, and how much it nurtures, and how much, and what the incredible outcome that I would never have thought. So for me, the future of the world is in the co-creation, from the heart, through the love, uniqueness, and freedom to be who you are and create what you are.
I love this conversation, and I'm just wondering whether we can meet again, maybe in
Ah,
2 months'
sure,
time.
Tess.
I would
Yes.
love it. I mean, when you said co-create, it just touched my heart. But I think there's a lot of things that you have said to me today that are meeting me at the junction where I am.
Hmm.
Um, and I would love to touch base with you again about
Yes.
just having this conversation,
Hmm.
and how not having an agenda has
Yes.
has not hindered our conversation,
No, no, and it's
you
so,
know?
yeah, it's amazing. And in this is
Yeah.
every day to live without an agenda. And every moment it's a surprise, such a beautiful surprise, because you live in the moment and you're taking it, you're fully there and you're taking it. So yes, happy to
Yeah.
continue.
I'd love to. I'd love to. I mean, oh, This has been so powerful
Mhm.
because you just touched on things that have just been in my heart. I mean, I'm not surprised because actually I'm disappearing because my
Yeah, you
light,
disappeared.
my background light is not on. It's dark. It's dark. So I'm kind of like leaning forward. I think all you're seeing is
I thought
teeth. All you're seeing is teeth.
it
You know.
disappeared.
But you know that, kind of
Yeah,
like, so what I did, 'cause if I had my light on, it wouldn't be happening. But because it's dark, I'm disappearing into my virtual background.
yeah.
But you know what? I love it. And I think what is happening is you have touched on things, that I have I was meditating on this morning. And also what I brought back from my trip to Ghana,
Mm-hmm.
which was I came back with this key message about framing things positively, which you've touched on. Framing things in the positive
Yeah.
and reframing in the positive. And that says to me, considering that I met you, because that day when I this is kind of funny, that day which I came for that meeting, the next day I was traveling.
Yes, I remember that.
I
Yes.
hadn't even packed.
No, 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 no. And you were
And
so afraid.
oh my God, I was so afraid. I hadn't packed, whatever. But you know, I'm still unpacking the emotional aspect of Ghana, but overall, it was really, really good. So
Mm-hmm.
much so that I'm thinking of going back again.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah,
That's nice. You
yeah,
will
so
have
much.
to.
Yeah, and you saying I'm going to check, and just to see that email was just so beautiful. So if we can
Mm.
touch base again, that'd be
Yes,
lovely.
yes,
Maybe
yes,
because we're now in the end of February, so maybe at the end of April
yes. Happy
would
to.
be would be
Happy.
lovely.
Yes, happy
Would be
to. I'm here.
lovely.
You know where to find me, and I'm here.
I know. So do you want me to send an email? No, send. I can actually send a message on LinkedIn, can't I?
Yes,
And say, come,
yes.
let's have a conversation. Let's co-create. You know,
Always, always. I'm in love of co-creation. So
I can see.
whenever you want, I'm here.
Oh, I
And
love it. But
I want to see you again so and have a conversation. So
and I
let's
want to
do
see the
that.
love thing behind you
Ah,
as well. So,
yeah.
I want to see that because that has, that was the first thing I saw. And it's really interesting that I saw you and I saw the VE because the LO is
Uh-huh.
finished. I saw the VE, but you know what happened? That set us up for success, don't you think? But
Yes,
I'm going to
yes.
take your point. I'm going to now audit my stimuli
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it's just,
An observance. Be an observance, and that's it. And it will happen. Be
yeah,
observant and be committed, and
yeah.
you make it.
I'm going to make notes of that observation and commitment because
Yeah.
I hadn't really thought, what am I taking in, Well, I did, but not as intentional as I could have, particularly with the news, because
Mm-hmm.
that news is curated
Mm-hmm.
for control
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
fear. So
yeah.
that's not where I should go for my stimuli.
No, 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 not at all. And it doesn't mean we don't know what's happening. You're just selecting where. So that's important.
Oh,
Huh?
you're brilliant.
No.
I'm going to make a commitment now. I'm going to put it in my diary to send you a LinkedIn message and say, let's do this.
Okay.
Let's talk again.
Yes, please. I
Yeah.
appreciate.
Oh, I
Thank
appreciate
you so
you.
much.
No,
Beautiful.
I'm thanking you because your co-creation thing works.
I love you. Thank you.
Yeah. God
That's the
bless
future.
you.
God bless
Yeah.
you.
Take care. God bless. Take care.
Thank